Go.
Hello, sir.
Hey, what you been up to, man?
Uh, Teaching chemistry and physics, teaching gun stuff and medical stuff, chasing that 2-year-old around, staying busy.
That sounds like pretty active. Yeah, I would have got on here sooner. I told you I was going to be on here 30 minutes ago, but nah, my dogs decided they had to go take a walk. So we live around like a 7-acre lake, and there's plenty of ducks and other stuff the dogs want to go see out there. So I had to go wrangle dogs for a minute.
Now, is there any fish in that?
Yeah, I wouldn't. We don't eat any fish out of it because all the parking lots drain into it. So we fish down there.
Okay.
We throw them back. You don't want to eat anything out of there. We have an otter in there now.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, my daughter saw it first and showed me a video, and I wasn't convinced it wasn't a nutria rat. But I went down there with binoculars and watched a while, and it's sure enough, it's a river otter. It'll be down there paddling on its back, and it's got silver streaks on the side of its face. So yeah, it's definitely not a nutria. It's an otter. It's kind of cool. I don't. That's the first one I've ever seen in the wild. So
yeah, that was one of the coolest things I saw in Alaska about 14 years ago. Me and a buddy went up there halibut fishing, and we'd get a 24-hour charter because you can only catch 2 halibut per day. So with the 24-hour charter, we catch 2 before midnight, 2 after midnight. Then the rest of the time, it was a booze cruise. But there would be hundreds of sea otters on their back in big clumps together, just floating around. They just look at the boat like, don't bother me.
They look like pretty chill critters. I've seen this one. He'll swim around playing, and then he'll submerge, and then he'll pop up like 50 yards later. That's kind of the way he operates. And I saw him run off the ducks the other day. Like, the ducks were on the other side of the pond. I was watching him with binoculars, and he would swim up and disturb the ducks, and then he would pop up every 50 yards or so and disturb them again until he got them out of a whole section of area, and then he just had the whole run of it. He's kind of interesting to watch him.
That's yeah. So how'd you guys deal with that cold snap that came through?
Some of the guys that were closer to the shop went in, and some of us that lived farther out, like me, I stayed at home. We had a thin sheet of ice on everything out here, and some of the major bridges for me to go from where I live into Baton Rouge were closed, so I just stayed home that day.
Nice.
Yeah, last week was a wash for me because the ice storm, and then I worked one day, and then I came down with the flu that night, and so I was out the rest of the week. So I had one whole work day last week because of ice and flu. But I'm better now. So.
We missed 7 days for snow. Here in southeastern Kentucky, a lot of our old roads aren't sloped right, and if we get any ice or snow on them, it's easy for a bus to just slide right off.
Oh yeah.
So they call school if there's any ice. We missed 7 days over the last 2 weeks.
Did y'all lose any power or anything?
No.
No, we didn't either.
We rarely do. I think 2 years ago we lost power, and I just got out some little bitty. It's off Amazon. It's a little lantern. You pull it apart and it turns on. I've got a bunch of those. We broke them out, and little buddy heaters, fired them up. We didn't get cold.
No, I've got probably a dozen of those lanterns you're talking about because of hurricane stuff.
Yeah.
Of course, hurricanes, they never happen when it's cold, so your power will be out in the middle of summer, August.
Well, when was it? 2021, 2022? the coast down there got hit with 3 different hurricanes.
Well, we had Ida. I think that was 21, maybe 2020 or 2021. I don't remember. But that knocked the power out for 8 days.
Yeah.
And, it's cold showers, and I run everything off a generator. So the most important thing down here, a hurricane prep, is having a couple of window units that you can run off a freaking generator.
Right.
When it's freaking 100 degrees outside right after the hurricane, everything's nasty. Yeah, you want an AC unit.
Yep, 100% humidity, and it's like you're trying to breathe soup.
Yep. I've got one of those little Honda generators. I'm thinking about getting another one because you can daisy chain them together. They run real.
I didn't know.
They run real quiet. I like it.
Okay. I didn't know you could daisy chain them. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you can daisy chain them. I want to daisy chain 2 of them, and maybe get one of the either buy or rig up one of the marine gas tanks for them, where they're like gravity feed, so you don't have to fill them up, because they'll run about 4 hours and then you have to fill them up.
Right. Yeah, that sounds cool. 2 years ago when we lost power, it was only for a couple of days. But, I got into the man cave and started going through all the preps and stuff I put back over the years. I was getting out these solar panels and hooking them up to charge up this Kindle and that laptop and just playing with all the gear. And I was like, well, this is great. This works. Or, shit, this don't work. Throw it away. But I got to stay busy because I'm in there with 3 women. Well, Amanda and the 2 girls. So I had to find stuff to do.
I mean, what do you think a podcast is?
I didn't think about that, but that is a strong point, sir. This is my first podcast.
The way I think about it, like I did the first episode and I realized I enjoyed doing it. And think about how cool it would be if we had like video archive of our grandparents or great grandparents talking to cool people or talking to people they know. That would be awesome. Super cool. Well, I got to thinking about it. I was like, I'll just make my own. And so here we are. Yeah, I just look at it like another side project hobby, just kind of like band and other stuff, Yeah.
And I wanted to thank you for having me on here. Like I said, this is my first podcast.
Yeah, dude, this is cool having you on. You just started, you said you started a defensive training school?
Yeah.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about...
Well, if you remember back then...
A little bit about that, yeah.
Okay. I first started teaching trauma classes, like TCCC light trauma classes back in 2018. And that's why I took your
class. When was that? Was that like 2019 or something when I took it?
2018.
2018? Okay.
I think it was August.
Yeah.
It was.
I believe, it was me, Hal, and Zach. Yep.
Yeah. Stephanie at Century Center, south of Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for a couple of years, and then COVID hit, and nobody wanted to train. Nobody wanted to practice. I couldn't give away a concealed carry class because Kentucky had also went to constitutional carry. So I just put all that training on the backside and just kind of let it die on the vine. And then 2022, I was one of the last adjunct instructors that James hired before he passed away at Tactical Response. And that was probably the biggest honor in my adult life, professional life, was James giving me that green shirt. And across the training industry, it's just everybody's down because of inflation and because of the cost of living, and milk's $3.49 a gallon and stuff like that. So classes are down everywhere. But for the last few months, I've had people calling me and saying, hey, I want a rifle class, I want a pistol class, I want a medical class. So I got out the old curriculums I'd put together and started teaching again. So in November, I had 10 in a medical class. December, I had 8 in a rifle class. And yesterday, I had 17 in a shotgun class.
That's great.
And it's incredible. Just getting out there and teaching good people who want to better themselves to be a little bit more efficient, running their gun.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a buddy. We're looking into getting some property and putting in a proper range. Yeager told me years ago, all you need to teach a class is a berm and a porta-john. I've got a berm and a porta-john, but we want more, so we're looking at land and
I hear you.
Looking at options. But yeah, I've got people pushing me to teach, and after a while, I was like, well, hell, I guess I'm gonna start teaching again. But it's my passion. I love it.
Well, I mean, for the listeners out there, they probably don't know you're a chemistry teacher already.
Okay, I'll give you a little history. Would that make it better?
Sure.
Okay, from age 17 to 24, I was a combat medical specialist in the Army National Guard. I did everything from line medic to evac medic to worked my way up to battalion aid station treatment NCO. Worked in the civilian emergency room for 12 years. I've been an EMT since about 91. When the Army implemented the Combat Lifesaver Program, I taught the first class in Kentucky. Well, me and 3 other medics taught the first class in Kentucky. And that's when I figured out I liked teaching. And then got tired of pre and post hospital emergency medicine. And about 21 years ago, I left healthcare and started teaching chemistry and physics. Been doing that 21 years now. I'm old in it. That's a long time. You a spring chicken, brother.
How old are you?
53.
I'm 45. You got me beat.
See? Spring chicken.
I feel pretty good for 45.
Well, I kind of twisted my ankle yesterday, and it flared my gout up, and so all day today it's been step drag, step drag, step drag. Getting old is not for the weak or the sissies. I'm telling you that.
My wife perfectly ensnared her ankle with a dog leash last Sunday and has been limping around with a sprained ankle all week. She was hooking up Beanie, our puppy, out front on a like a running leash, like one that's staked in the ground. And I watched it happen in slow motion. She was standing in a loop, just like Looney Tunes, and he took off and yanked it tight, and she almost fell down. And it bruised all her tendons and sprained her ankle. And I was like, this is the most uncanny injury. But I watched it happen in slow motion. There was nothing I could do to stop it.
Coyote would do.
Do what?
You know, that's something that happened to Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, it was total Looney Tunes. It was like she made her own snare and stood in it. And that dog just took off. Like, he's a ball of muscle, you know. And he's wild.
Tell Steph I said hey.
Will do.
So,
she made, I figured I'd tell you on the podcast, she made boudin balls today. Yeah,
I ordered some,
and I thought they tasted a little weird. She came out on the porch and gave me one earlier, and I was like, these are good, but what'd you make this out of? And she's like, she shredded a seasoned cooked chicken thigh and a hamburger patty that I cooked last night, and she mixed it up with rice and stuff that I already had in the fridge, made boudin out of it, and fried it. I'm like, you made a chicken hamburger boudin. Okay. But we were still putting chili sauce on it, eating it. It was pretty good.
And that's the thing. When I first started going down to Louisiana and teaching, the first time I went down there for that first class you were in, you and Zach and Hal and everybody, you know, I'm from southeastern Kentucky. We don't have real good food.
I've been up there.
I mean, we got country, southern cooking and stuff like that. But
yeah.
I stayed with Zach and Steph. Got up to drive to Century Defense that next morning. Saw McDonald's, pulled in, got an Egg McMuffin or something, and then drove down the road a little bit further and stopped to get gas. And when I went in to get, I don't know, a Monster or whatever, they had boudin balls, they had jambalaya, they had all the good stuff.
Yeah.
At the gas station. And I was like, I will never, ever, never eat fast food in Louisiana again. And I did notice something because I've been down there several times. The dirtier the outside of gas station, the better the food.
Yeah,
and if they sell live bait,
Billy's
even better.
Like the best boudin used to come across the river from Billy's, and it was. I remember going to Billy's with my buddy Kevin. We were on our road trip to Dallas NRA, and we had to stop at Billy's on the way there and the way back, get boudin balls. And it was a skeezy, dirty gas station, right? I went and took a leak in the bathroom, and on the door for the bathroom was basically like a hollow house door, you know? And there was graffiti. Yeah. There was graffiti on the back of the door of a giant penis, like a dick and balls with hair on the balls, and then somebody had wrote the word Slayer above it. I thought it was really classy. It was like a nice touch, and the boudin was perfect. You know?
Yeah.
But me and Aiden, I had to run across the river for some guitar deal or something, or show or something, and me and Aiden, my son, were across the river, and we were like going to hit Billy's, and now Billy's looks like a racetrack. Like they've torn down the original skeezy gas station and rebuilt it back, and it is a like fancy tourist location with multiple meat counters, like, and it's like a nice place now. Totally not where it came from, but they sold out I think they sold the recipes and the name and everything, and so now they've got multiple locations and they're all fancy now. But I remember going back there when it was like a shithole, and it was like the best boudin you ever had. That place was a total fucking shithole, like just a shitty small town gas station.
Yeah, we went to Corpus Christi a couple of summers back, and we stopped and stayed with Zach and Stephanie. So, of course, we ate at Paran, as we do.
Yeah.
And then when we got over to Scott, we had to stop. We went to Billy's, then we went to Best Stop, and then we went on west and stopped and met up with Scalia at Steamboat Billy's over there around Westlake. And so 3-hour, 4-hour trip across the state, we stopped maybe 3 or 4 times.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the last road trip I went with Zach, we went to Sonny Pazikis' place in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Take ECQ, Greg Douglas. So Will Ingalls came down from Buffalo, New York, come to the house. We loaded up in the car. We drove to Baton Rouge, picked up Zach. And I forget the name of the place. It looks like a rustic old cabin, and it's just right outside of Baton Rouge. They had all kinds of different meat.
Probably y'all stop at Days Meats. Were y'all going north on 55?
I don't remember which way it was going. Zach was like, turn here, turn here, turn here. But it looked like an old rustic cabin set back with some pine trees around it.
It sounds like Days Meats. Zach used to like that place.
Yeah. So we stopped and got a bunch of stuff there, boudin balls and boudin egg rolls. And then, of course, we went across the Chapalaya, and we had to stop at, he liked Best Stop best. He liked it better than Billy's.
It's debatable.
And so we stopped.
I've had I've had Best awesome. Stop. Billy's is better. Me and my wife did a boudin crawl when we came back from Houston, NRA, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So we stopped at every boudin place on the way back from Houston to Baton Rouge, and we sampled every one of them. And I think Billy's is the best. I mean, I had to wait in line an hour to get Billy's. That's how good it is. The store had a line wrapped around it of people.
Oh, yeah.
Inside. Probably 50 people in there waiting in line.
And what's funny is we went to Billy's, and I got boudin at Billy's, and then we went to So we stopped at that place in Baton Rouge and got food. And then we went to stop, which, what, an hour? Hour outside Baton Rouge?
Yeah, it ain't even that far, I don't think. Yeah, maybe 30 minutes to
Yeah,
an
it's
hour.
not.
Yeah.
So we stopped got more food. We stopped at Billy's. I got boudin. We went to Best Stop, and we got smoked sausage because they had the best smoked sausage. And then we went over towards
Now, he might
West
be right
Lake.
about the sausage. I hadn't tried that.
We went over to West Lake and stopped and ate at Steamboat Billy's again. I love that place. They have the best pistolettes, I think. They have really good pistolettes. And so by the time we got to Texas, to our hotel room, we had 6, 7, 8 pounds of food. So when we went to DCQC the next day, people are showing up with McDonald's and shit, and I'm like, nope, I'm eating good stuff.
No,
we ate on it for 2 days.
Yeah, we'll sit around and eat hogshead cheese and boudin on some crackers with a little mustard for a snack, dude.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll live on that at the shop. If somebody goes and gets a bunch of it, yeah, we'll just sit around and eat that.
It's awesome.
My wife we've really learned like how to cook all the stuff at home, Like Stephanie, when she first came here, she kind of had a rough start with Cajun cooking and wasn't really like enjoying it. And then she finally got a hold of it and like dissected it and started cooking Cajun stuff, and she got really good at it. And so yeah, we do all of it at home. We make boudin at home. We're doing red beans and rice in the crock pot right now. So
that sounds good. Now I made boudin last year from scratch.
Did you?
Sam and JJ, do you remember them? They were at Zach Memorial. Big red-headed bear-looking dude, caveman.
The which one?
And JT had a big long. JT and Sam.
Probably.
They were raising hogs, and I went over there and bought a couple of hogs from them, and they processed them for me.
Mm-hmm.
And they were going through, and they're focused on the good stuff. And I said, take that big liver and throw it in a bag. And they said, why? You gonna eat the liver? I said, I'm gonna make boudin out of it. And they're like, hell, we didn't think of that. They just threw them away. I said, well, anytime you scrap one out, if they don't want the liver, freeze it, we can make boudin. And then they ground up a bunch of pork sausage for me. And I used that to make boudin. And it was trial or error for the first few times.
Right.
But it was never bad. But I got to where I could make it pretty good. But I ran out of pig liver, so I just ordered some from the Louisiana seafood company when I ordered some gator.
Have you tried? Do you mix your liver with like Boston butter or anything like that?
Just ground pork.
Yeah, just some pork. Just You've been using ground pork. What we did is we would take like a Boston butt and smoke it, and then grind that Boston butt up and mix that with the liver and the rice and stuff like that. Then you've got like a nice smoky flavor built into, the boudin. So yeah, we were. Well,
I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, we were taking some extra steps in there, with the meat prep.
That makes it extra good.
Yeah, the more prep you put into the meat and getting the flavor in the meat and mixing it with the rice, the better the flavor the boudin's gonna be. When you're making it.
So, do you remember those old, what were they called, Cajun Smoker 2s that you could get at Lowe's years ago? They look like an R2-D2.
I've probably seen them.
Okay, it looked like a garbage can.
All right.
So Dad gave me one years ago, and I've used it for 25 years. So, people have these big fancy electric smokers and all this stuff. And if I'm smoking something, I don't mind sitting out there and tending the fire and setting an alarm and getting up, going out there and checking it, doing all that stuff, because that's all I'd ever done. I never had a fancy electric smoker. So apparently after 30 years of service, because Dad had it before he gave it to me, the bottom rusted out, and all the hot coals hit my back deck and burned a hole through my back deck, and then the smoker fell through the hole.
Did it start an epic fire?
And I was so mad. No, because I was going out there and checking on it. The meat was fine. The meat was up on top, and well, the meat was fine until it hit the ground. But I mean, it just fell right through the. And I went out there to check it, and I was like, "Shit!" I had to run in the house, get some water, and put it out. But I had to get a new smoker. But this past fall, I smoked pork shoulder and brisket and ham. I like smoking. Again, you got 3 women folk in the house. You're gonna find something to do outside, even if it's mowing.
Well, Stephanie likes to smoke too. We both do it. We got our first smoker. Well, we had the charcoal wood type ones. Throughout the years, and they all, I've had bought kind and the homemade kind. I had one that was like, I think a construction company made it. I had that one for years, cooked for giant parties and stuff with it and everything. But it finally rusted out. And a couple years ago, Stephanie, when she was doing plate crew heavy, she traded smoked meat for a smoker, and we didn't even have a smoker. So she got the smoker, a propane smoker, and we smoked the meat, and that paid for that smoker.
That's awesome.
And then I found another one by the dumpster that was like, it's the one I use all the time. I actually use the dumpster smoker all the time. It's another gas smoker, but it seals better and it cooks better, so I just use it better. I use it all the time. I just use propane smokers nowadays. We have pretty good luck with them, but I'm out of propane right now. I was going to smoke a Boston butt this weekend, but I realized I'm out of propane because during the ice storm, I had a porch heater that was kind of sucking propane.
Right. Now, something I did make, I went and picked up Steven from Chattanooga, and we got home Friday night, about midnight, wasn't it? We got home about midnight, and I got class the next morning, that shotgun class, and I made about 30 pounds of jambalaya. I cooked to about 3 in the morning.
That's a lot of jambalaya.
And then I just kind of let it sit and just stay warm. And I loaded it up when we went to class, and I fed everybody for lunch.
There you go.
And somebody's like, why you feeding your students? I said, one,
nobody has to go get anything.
Yeah, you don't have to leave the range too.
Yeah, you don't have to leave. It makes sense. There's no disruption. Here's the food. It's free. Jambalaya feeds everybody.
Yep.
It's cheap and easy to make.
I think I had, out of the 30 pounds I took out there, I think I brought home probably 3 quarts worth. And somebody said, how much that cost? And I was like, guys, jambalaya is not that expensive. Not when you're making pounds and pounds and pounds of it.
No. $30-$40 for sausage and
I
chicken.
think I'm right at $40.
Yeah.
Isn't that what I calculated for? I think
yeah,
I'm right
about
at
$30-$40 by what I'm figuring in my head. I've made it.
And everybody loved it. And people are like, I've never been to a training class where the instructor fed us. I said, welcome to Kentucky.
There you go. And you brought those Louisiana recipes back to Kentucky with you. I'm proud of you. A good friend of mine. I got a good friend of mine. I got a good friend of mine from Illinois, and several years ago, me and him took a road trip from Baton Rouge to northern Arkansas. Like a 13-hour drive, right? We drove up there to get a car after the flood.
Yeah.
And he's from Illinois, a food desert, but he likes good food, and he's. Since then, he's already moved to North Carolina. He's out of Illinois. He's in a gun-free state, having a great time. Good, cool dude.
Yeah.
And anyways, we were going up through. We took the scenic route up through the northern Louisiana, up into the Arkansas Delta, and all through there. So we basically went up we went up like Highway 51, and we stopped at a gas station. And I walked in and I told the black lady behind the counter, I was like, I need a couple of pieces of the fish right there. No, I need one of those fish fillets right there, 2 pieces of loaf bread, and some mayonnaise. And she said, all right, I got you, sugar. I got you right now. And my buddy looked at me. He was like, you can order like that? What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, you can order like that, Jason. And he was like, I want the same thing he's having and a cup of fried okra. And he was standing in the parking lot pumping gas, eating fried okra, and we were eating catfish sandwiches, and he was just like blown away with gas station food, going back to that. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that I have never eaten fast food in Louisiana since then. This road is rough as a cob, so that's why everything's vibrating.
I knocked my mic
I hope we don't
over.
make the viewers nauseated from all the vibrating.
Well, yours is the first one I've done with somebody driving. Like I was gonna do one with Paul Benson, but he was driving, and we both decided it wouldn't be that good. We're gonna end up doing it probably sometime in February.
Okay. But yeah, gas station food is the way to go if you're south of I-10. And something else that's funny, when I was teaching down there at those fire departments, all those firefighters and stuff, they made fun of my Kentucky accent. And they're Cajuns. The Cajuns were making fun of my accent. And I couldn't say a chapalaya. It took me 2 years to learn how to say a chapalaya.
It's okay.
But they'd make fun of me.
I'm from Northeast Mississippi, and my wife's from Northwest Mississippi. So she's from closer to the Delta, and I'm from closer to Alabama.
Yeah.
So I end up coming across with that North Alabama accent a little bit. And I understand fluent Couillon, Coon-ass, ghetto, and every other dialect down here. And my dialect comes out a lot, too. And my daughter, I've got an 18-year-old daughter. I've got an 18-year-old daughter who just happened to pick up that accent also. So she has the North Alabama accent down here.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, my brother-in-law, he married my older sister. He's from South Lafayette. And he is Coon-ass gets. He is just, he and my sister come up and visit Mom, and we'll hang out and have dinner and stuff, and he'll start talking. And Mom will look at me and say, what did he just say? And I'm like, hell, Mom, I don't know. But he's taught me a lot about cooking, too, because he's an excellent cook. But yeah,
I've learned a lot since I've been down here, just with cooking. I've just been open. Me and Steph have been kind of open to learning and seasoning different and doing things different.
Yeah.
So I still do a lot of Mississippi like country cooking and stuff, but I do a lot of Cajun type cooking and do a lot of smoking, grilling, a little bit of everything. Just a mix.
Yep.
So we cook a lot. We say we're an ingredient household because like if you go look in our cabinets and fridge, it's all stuff you got to cook. There's like no snacks in there hardly. It's everything you got to cook,
Right. Yep. Amanda likes a lot of Italian too, so I end up cooking a lot of Italian stuff. We're getting ready to start making pasta from scratch. I haven't done that yet, but
I haven't done that yet either. I've thought about trying it. Stephanie's wanting to make cheese from scratch. Me and Stephanie sometimes.
See, that would be a lot of work.
Well, sometimes me and Stephanie stay up late and we watch like those Townsend videos on YouTube. You know what I'm talking about?
Townsend. We were just talking about the Townsend video.
Yeah, where he does the colonial reenacting stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to bake this first, you need to build a clay oven. So he goes out in the backyard and builds a clay oven.
Well, I saw a recipe on there the other day for coffee eggs, which were like egg yolks, coffee, and sugar, all whooped up. Yeah, you whip them real good, and then you bake them at like 350 for like 30 minutes, and it comes in like custard dishes, and it comes out like he was grossed out in the video by it because he didn't like coffee, but he tried it and he said it was good. So I made them while me and Stephanie we were making cookies. She was making cookies, and I was making these coffee eggs, and they come out being these gelatinous coffee egg sugar mass things that have a very weird consistency, and they don't taste that bad. They taste like coffee, sugar, and a little egg, mostly coffee and sugar, but they're just not good. Not something you're gonna make like twice. But I don't know. I just decided, like, I was in the kitchen and I had the ingredients, so I just made it. Like, while I'm watching too many Townsend videos. Me and Stephanie are like making pie crust and shit. We made egg custard a couple weeks ago. It was really good. I hadn't had one of those in forever.
Yeah, Steven and I
using a lot more nutmeg in our lives. Yeah, too much Townsend videos.
We were before you got a hold of us. We was talking about meal prepping on a budget, and we were talking about canned food. Yeah, canned food. It's how to keep this stuff up. We talked about Jacob Herman's podcast with James, and I was like, what were those videos that Jacob Herman was talking about? And it's Townsend. We'd watched a bunch of them, and we're talking about them.
Oh, Jacob was talking about Townsend videos on another podcast?
Yeah, the Tactical Response podcast with James. The name of the podcast is Grain Mills Don't Shit Bread.
Do what? What's it called? Grain Mills
Don't
Shit Bread?
Don't Shit Bread.
Okay. I may have seen that like a long time ago or something.
Jacob was talking about how some preppers who don't have a wealth of knowledge about it will get barrels of flour that need ground up, and they'll get a little hand grinder. And then you got to grind for 17 hours for a loaf of bread and shit. So it was a pretty interesting podcast. And then he started talking about the Townsend video.
Yeah. I think a lot of people need to go back to the basics of where their food came from. You know, they need to figure out how to make things from scratch.
Yep.
Looks
like when Sam and JT was dressing out those hogs for me. I was like, I need them livers. And they're like, oh, we didn't even think about that. And then I was like, I need them ham hocks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what do you need the ham hocks for? I said, soup beans. You know, you're throwing away good chunks of meat that's $8 a pound or something at Kroger.
Oh, freaking ham hock and beans. Every ham I get, I keep pieces of it and season beans with it. Or you season greens with it. That's just what you do with ham hock.
Yeah,
like,
but they weren't thinking about it.
That's just like lifestyle for us, you know. Yeah. Which I don't know what other people do, but yeah, ham hocks for bean seasoning or greens.
Yep.
Yep.
I think I got from those two hogs. I don't know how many pounds of ham hocks I got, but I split them with Mom. Amanda won't eat soup beans. She just don't like soup beans. So I got to bribe Mom to make me soup beans all the time.
Well, Stephanie likes them to an extent, but she ate them so much growing up. Like my kids will eat them. Like they grew up eating them, they'll eat them just fine. But like white beans and soup bean type stuff, Stephanie sometimes is a little apprehensive on, just because she ate them so much growing up. She's just kind of
right.
Yeah, she's kind of just like.
We ate them all the time too. You know, I grew up poor. We ate them all the time too, but I guess to me, it's always, I'm a food person. I love to eat. That's what I'm fat.
Well, I kind of grew up middle class, and we didn't really eat a lot of beans. We eat a lot of shit, though, you know, but we didn't really eat a lot of beans until later on we started eating, like, Colorado Anasazi beans.
Right. But we always had beef in the freezer because my grandpa would raise, beef. We take them off, get them slaughtered, and split them up. We always had beef, and we always had beans. And macaroni and tomatoes.
Yeah, that was a familiar one. I'm about to pause it for a second and take a bathroom break and a smoke break. And I'm going to edit this out.
Okay.
You give me just a second.
I'm going to keep going eating.
You keep going. I'll be back in about 8 minutes or so.